For centuries, farming was and continues to be the foundation of many civilizations that grew and prospered. Farming began as a simple growth of food for consumption, and as people gathered around these steady sources of food, villages began to form, then towns, then cities, and in some cases, empires. Farming became more and more vital. Goods were grown for trade, and animals were domesticated to aid farmers. There came a time, however, when farming changed. The growth of food was no longer the basis of farming, and animals were not the only ones getting domesticated. By the dawn of the 17th century, the plantation system was introduced, and with it came the domestication of man. Plantations were large farms that specialized in the mass growth of cash crops, crops that are grown only for trade and profit, rather than the growth of crops for consumption. Most of these cash crops were sugar, cotton, and tobacco. These plantations were primarily located in the American colonies and were run by Europeans who cared for profit and wanted little to do with the difficult process of harvesting these cash crops, and so slavery was born. The Europeans chose to dirty their hands with blood rather than with soil, and began to enslave thousands of Africans, gathering herds of them to the coasts of Africa and stuffing them within ships to be sent to the American colonies. Of course, the Europeans believed that they were justified. They considered Africans to be no more than animals, and compensated African warlords with guns and booze. Truly fair trade. The plantation system was very profitable, as the slaves were never paid. The triangle trade economy emerged, where sugar, cotton, and tobacco would be sold from America to Europe. Europe would then sell run and manufactured goods to Africa, and from Africa, slaves would be sold back to America. It was not until the 1800s that the plantation economy began to falter. Abolitionist movements to end slavery began, and the plantations faced the threat of losing their workforce. In addition, enlightened thinkers began to proclaim that the plantation economy was in fact holding back the advancement of worldwide economy. By the mid-19th century, plantation systems were generally regarded as a negative economical feature, despite the brief period of growth and trade they created. Following the abolishment of slavery and the unification of the American colonies, plantation systems became a thing of the past. However, cash crops were still grown in parts of the world, such as India and Latin America, and continue to persist to this day, but under better and more humane conditions.
The most common question I get is, you're from where? Is it Mali, Maui? It's Malawi. And if any of you don't know where that is, it's where Madonna adopted all the babies from. That's us. Yeah, you're jealous. I do miss my little brother. And Angelina took my sister, so. And I've been in the UK a while. I was tricked into moving here. I was tricked because I was watching television and I saw an angry guy came on television and he said, oh, these immigrants take all the good jobs, all the good women. I was like, wow, that's what I'm looking for. But I know sometimes comedy, it's hard to laugh sometimes because the news is full of depressing stuff. But I think the thing is, it's misleading, because amazing things happen every day, little acts of kindness, but they don't report it. They put it on page 10, they open with the doom and gloom. If the BBC News was a mate of yours, you'd never go over. Look, I'm not going to that depressing barbecue. I'm gonna hang out with Cartoon Network. But it's an amazing time to be alive. People say stuff like, I miss the good old days. The good old days were terrible. We've got amazing stuff. We've got Wi-Fi. Yeah. We've got rights. Women can vote. Yeah. I'm black. 200 years ago, this would have been an auction.